Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight Maxim Hughes, a financial administrator whose specialist subject is the Mongol invasions. Louise Lockyer, a student who will be answering questions on the plays of Aristophanes. Vijay Narayan, a senior manager whose subject is the rise of the East India Company. And Richard Payne, a maths teacher. His subject, Broadway musicals, the 1940s and 50s. All contenders sitting here contemplating that black chair, knowing that they are about to face what is acknowledged to be the ultimate quizzing test of nerve and knowledge. 2 minutes on their specialist subject and 2.5 on general knowledge. All of it alone in the spotlight. So let's find out who copes best with the pressure and ask our first contender to join us, please. Your name?
Maxim Hughes.
Your occupation?
Financial administrator.
And your chosen subject?
Mongol invasions.
In the 13th century with Genghis Khan and his successors. Here we go. Beginning with Genghis Khan in 1206, all the great Khans, or supreme leaders of the Mongol Empire, were chosen at a traditional general assembly. What Mongol name was given to these assemblies?
Kiriltai.
Yeah. In 1211, the Mongols began a campaign against an empire in northern China and captured a lot of territory, including the capital city, Zhongdu. Which dynasty ruled this empire?
The Jin.
Yeah. Genghis Khan died in 1227 during his campaign to destroy the Tangut kingdom that he had already defeated years earlier. What was the kingdom called?
Western Xia.
Yes. Genghis Khan was succeeded by his son Ogedei. What was the name of Ogedei's younger brother who inherited the original hearthlands of Mongolia?
Tolui.
Yeah. Ogedei continued the expansion of the empire and brought in measures to improve its administration. He also established his capital city in the Orkhon Valley in Mongolia. What was the name of this city?
Karakorum.
Yeah. After Ogedei died in 1241, one of his widows acted as regent for 5 years and schemed to have her son Gyuk selected as the Great Khan. What was her name?
Torigini.
Yeah. In warfare, the Mongols would extend their lines for miles in order to encircle the enemy and then gradually constrict the circle until the hostile forces were trapped. What was the name of this tactic which was adapted from game hunting?
Pantan.
Nega. The territory of the Kipchak Khanate was based on lands given to Genghis Khan's son Jochi and stretched from Eastern Europe to Siberia. It's best known by a name possibly derived from the colour of the Khan's tent. What name?
The Golden Horde.
Yes. In a campaign that began in 1256, a Mongol army advanced into the lands of the much-feared Nizari Ismaili sect of the Assassins and wiped them out forever. Who was the leader of that Mongol force?
Monkey.
Hulagu. In 1274 and 1281, 2 seaborne invasions led by Kublai Khan were defeated, partly because of bad weather. They were intended to capture which country?
Japan.
Yeah. A well-developed system of communication in the empire was achieved with the establishment of a chain of stations that provided a constant supply of fresh horses and messengers. What was the name of that network?
Yam.
It was indeed. No passes. Maxim, you have scored 9 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Louise Lockyer.
Your occupation?
Student.
And your chosen subject?
The plays of Aristophanes.
Aristophanes, the comic playwright of ancient Greece. Here we go, 2 minutes. In which play, a satire on the Athenian system of jury courts, does the chorus of elderly jurymen explain, not one of us could make a speech, denounce, arraign, inform, impeach?
The Wasps.
Yes, an immortal character in the Acharnians is pursued by the chorus, who are angry because he arranged a peace treaty with the Spartans. Who is this immortal whose name means doubly divine?
Amphitheus.
Yes. In Women at the Thesmophoria, Myca brings what she claims is her baby to the Women's Council, but a man who has tricked his way into the meeting dressed as a woman reveals that it is not a baby. What is it?
A wineskin.
Yes. In Frogs, the character Aeschylus describes one of his plays as a telling lesson on the will to win, a truly great achievement. Which play?
Electra.
Persians. At the beginning of scene 2 in The Assemblywomen, Kremes is arranging household objects into the procession of the festival dedicated to the goddess Athena. What item is put first in the procession?
A sieve.
Yeah. As well as being an anti-war play, Lysistrata is a satire on gender politics. In it, the women of Athens seize control of a stronghold and retreat behind its barbed gates. Which stronghold?
The Acropolis.
Yep. In The Birds, Heracles says, good God, man, I mean good man, God, we're not going to fight a war over a woman, are we? To whom does he address those words?
Dionysus.
Poseidon. In the play Peace, Trigaeus flies astride a creature that he sings to with the words, wait until your limbs perspire, till the movement of each sinew loosens up the muscles in you. What is this creature?
A dung beetle.
Yes. In Clouds, at which institution for intellectual souls does Strepsiades enroll? Although he wonders, how can I study all this logic chopping and hair splitting?
The Thinkery.
Yes, the plays of Aristophanes often have an anti-war sentiment or comment on political life in Athens. The real-life politician Cleon is satirized in The Knights as a character who is steward to the elderly Athenian, the people. Which character?
The Paphlagonian.
Yeah. In Wasps, Bedel Ikleon complains that no matter what the offence, the charge is always tyranny, a word that had not been heard in Athens for 50 years, but has suddenly become as common as what food item?
Figs.
No, fish, pickled fish. No passes, Louise. You scored 8 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Vijay Narayanan,
Your occupation?
Senior Manager,
And your chosen subject?
Rise of the East India Company.
The great East India Company that was intended to compete for the East Indian spice trade, but later became a colonial power in India. Here we go. The East India Company received its royal charter on New Year's Eve in 1600, and 2 months later, its first voyage set out for the Spice Islands. Which merchant commanded that voyage?
James Lancaster.
Yep. The royal charter granted the company a monopoly on Eastern trade for how many years?
24.
15. The company persuaded James I to appoint Sir Thomas Roe as ambassador to the court of the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. Roe obtained permission from Jahangir for a trading post in India in which port?
Surat.
Yep. Who led an expedition by the company in 1659 to settle the island of St. Helena, a stopping point for voyagers to the east? He became the island's first governor.
Kegbin.
John Dutton. Job Charnock, a company official, is sometimes credited as the founder of which settlement by the Hooghly River? The Scottish writer Alexander Hamilton said that Charnock could not have chosen a more unhealthful place on all the river.
Calcutta.
Yes. Which company official led a delegation to Delhi in 1715 which secured a grant of extensive new privileges from the Mughal emperor? The agreement has been described as the Magna Carta of the company.
Robert Clive.
John Sermon. What was the name of the agent sent by the Nawab of Bengal to speak to the company in 1756 after they'd made unauthorized fortifications at Calcutta? The agent was expelled from the city without an audience, and he denounced the English as traders who have not yet learned to wash their bottoms.
Omnichand.
Narayan Singh. Calcutta was attacked and taken by the Nawab of Bengal in 1756 after a siege by his army. What name was given to the small cell in which survivors were placed for the night?
Black Hole.
Yes. What was the name of the 1765 treaty under which the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam agreed to grant the company the power to administer laws and collect taxes across northeast India?
Diwani.
Allahabad. Who chaired the parliamentary committee set up in the 1770s to investigate company abuses and embezzlement in India? Robert Clive famously told the committee that, by God, Mr. Chairman, I stand astonished by my own moderation.
Edmund Burke.
John Burgoyne. Parliament established a governing council for the company's activities in 1773 and appointed Warren Hastings to the new post of Governor-General. Which member of the council did Hastings later fight in a duel?
Philip Francis.
Is correct. No passes, Vijay. You have 5 points. And our final contender, please. Your name is?
Richard Payne.
Your occupation?
I'm a maths teacher.
And your chosen subject?
Is the Broadway musicals of the 40s and 50s.
In 2 minutes starting now, which actor and dancer who went on to become a Hollywood star played the title role in the original 1940 Broadway production of Pal Joey?
Gene Kelly.
Yes, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Oklahoma, which opened in 1943 with Betty Gard as Aunt Ella and Alfred Drake as Curly, was based on a 1930s play by Lynn Riggs. What's the title of that play?
Green Grow the Lilacs.
Yep, in the 1943 hit Carmen Jones, which reset an original Bizet opera in a southern US town and had an African-American cast. The title role was shared by two performers who both had the same first name. What name?
Muriel.
Yeah. Which poet, born in Missouri, was the lyricist for the Kurt Weill musical drama Street Scene, which opened at the Adelphi Theatre in 1947?
Nash.
Hughes. Which Irving Berlin musical, which opened at New York's Imperial Theatre in May 1946, includes a song with the lyrics, "The opening when your heart beats like a drum, the closing when the customers don't come"?
Annie, Get Your Gun.
Yes, in Guys and Dolls, the songs A Bushel and a Peck and Take Back Your Mink are performed by Adelaide and a troupe of backing performers at what nightclub?
The Kit Kat Club.
The Hot Box Club. The 1949 musical Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, based on the Anita Loos novel of the same title, ran for more than 700 performances at a theatre on 6th Avenue, which was demolished in the 1960s. Which theatre?
Glenn Ford.
Ziegfeld Theatre. What Broadway musical, which opened in 1957 with an original cast that featured Mickey Kaelin and Chita Rivera, is set within a 48-hour period in late summer?
Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
West Side Story. The number My Favourite Things from the final Rodgers and Hammerstein collaboration The Sound of Music was sung in the original 1959 production by Maria and which other character?
Pass.
What musical, which ran for more than 1,000 performances, won in 5 categories at the 6 Tony Awards, including Joe Milziner and Irene Sharoff for their scenic and costume designs, respectively?
My Fair Lady.
The King and I.
Oh,
You had 1 pass. My Favourite Things in The Sound of Music was sung by Maria and Mother Abbess. You have scored, Richard, 4 points. And that is the specialist subjects round done and dusted. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 4 points, Richard. 3rd place with 5 points, Vijay. 2nd place with 8 points, Louise. 1st place with 9 points, Maxime. So now it is the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Richard to join us again, please. Right, Richard, you start out with 4 points, but you now have 2.5 minutes of general knowledge questions.
Yes.
So, your chance to overtake the field. What's the usual term for a hollow filled with sand to serve as an obstacle on a golf course? It's sometimes called a sand trap or a sand hazard.
A bunker.
Yep, the 1988 film Bird tells the story of the life and career of a famous jazz saxophonist. What was his name?
Lucius Bird.
Charlie Parker. Which ancient civilization produced the Book of the Dead, a collection of magic spells and formula written on papyrus and intended for use in the afterlife? It dates from around the 16th century BC.
The Egyptians.
Yes, the 3-in-1 booster injection, which is given to teenagers as part of the UK's national immunisation programme, protects against tetanus, diphtheria and what other disease?
Measles.
Polio. Which planet in our solar system is named after the Greek god of the sky?
Saturn.
Uranus. Which American television series stars Bryan Cranston as a high school chemistry teacher who, when he's diagnosed with cancer, turns to drug dealing to provide for his family?
Breaking Bad.
Yep. What name is given to the system of canals, locks and channels between Lake Ontario and the city of Montreal? It was opened in 1959 to enable ocean-going vessels to sail from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean.
The St. Lawrence Waterway.
Yes, the St. Lawrence Seaway. On the cover of the 1977 Pink Floyd album Animals, an inflatable animal floats above Battersea Power Station. What animal?
It's a pig.
It is. In the 1980s, an American cartoonist devised a test to measure the representation of women in films or other works. To pass the test, which is named after her, there must be at least 2 named female characters who talk to each other about something other than a man. What is the name of the test?
The Meisner test.
The Bechdel test. Deep Thought and Deep Fritz were names given to computer systems that played a board game at the highest level. What game?
Chess.
Yep. The hormone that induces the so-called fight or flight response and is sometimes injected into patients to treat anaphylaxis and cardiac arrest is known in America as epinephrine. What is its usual name in the UK?
Adrenaline?
Correct. In 2019, Sophie Wilmès became the first female prime minister of which European country?
Germany?
Belgium. Which Russian tennis player announced her retirement from the sport in February 2020 at the age of 32? She won 5 Grand Slams in her career. In 2014, became the 3rd youngest woman to win the Wimbledon singles title.
Sharapova?
Yep. Which British author was the creator and main writer of the long-running television drama series Foyle's War? He's also known for writing children's fiction such as the Alex Rider books.
Anthony... Horowitz?
Yes.
Horowitz,
Which president of South Africa was... I've started self-finished. Which president of South Africa was sometimes addressed by his clan name Madiba?
Nelson Mandela.
Yes, indeed it is. No passes, Richard. You now have 14 points.
Thank you.
And next up, let's ask Vijay to join us again, please. And you start out with 5 points, Vijay. The score to beat at the moment is 14 points. Here we go with your general knowledge. Arborio and Carnaroli are varieties of which cereal grain?
Wheat.
Rice. A type of toy house for a child to play in is named after a character in J.M. Barrie's play Peter Pan. Which character?
Pass.
Which song by Barry Manilow tells the story of a showgirl called Lola who works in a club where music and passion were always the fashion?
Pass.
In a well-known phrase often attributed to Andy Warhol, he said that in the future everyone will be world famous for how many minutes?
No minutes.
15. Which novel, written by Charlotte Bronte and published in 1847, opens with the line, "There was no possibility of taking a walk that day"?
Jane Eyre.
Yes. Which American filmmaker born in Atlanta in 1957 produced his first feature film, She's Gotta Have It, with a budget of $175,000 with financial help from his grandmother? He later directed Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X.
Spike Lee.
Yes. What style of close-fitting hat was popularized in the 1920s as part of the flapper look? Its name is a French word for bell.
Pass.
What was the name of the inventor and firearms manufacturer born in Connecticut who patented an early model of revolving pistol in America in 1836 and is generally credited with bringing revolvers into widespread use?
Beretta.
Colt. A bakery owner from South London named Karina Lepore was the winner of the 2019 series of a television reality show. Which one?
British Bake Off.
The Apprentice. At the Helsinki Olympics in 1952, a Czech athlete won gold medals in the 5,000 metres and 10,000 metres, and then, in his first marathon, took gold in that too. What was his name?
Havel.
Zatopek. The mineral smithsonite, named after the British scientist James Smithson, is an ore of which metal?
Zinc.
Yes. Which alphabet is used for Russian and many other languages of the former Soviet Union, as well as European languages such as Serbian and Bulgarian? It's based on Greek letters and is named after the saint who invented it.
Cyrillic.
Yes. A country in West Africa has a national flag that consists of 3 vertical stripes of orange, white and green, the reverse of the flag of Ireland. Which country?
Congo.
No, Côte d'Ivoire. Which English monarch was the last to lead an army into battle? He defeated the French at the Battle of Dettingen in 1743.
James VI.
No, George II. Chartres Cathedral in northern France is an example of a style of architecture that flourished in Europe from the 12th to the 16th centuries and was characterized by pointed arches and flying buttresses. What's the name for this style of architecture?
Gothic.
Is correct. 3 passes, Vijay. Cloche is the name of that close-fitting hat. Copacabana was the song by Barry Manilow that tells the story of a showgirl called Lola. And that character in Peter Pan, after whom the toy house is named, is Wendy. You now have, Vijay, 10 points.
Thank you.
And now Louise again, please. And Louise, you start out with 8 points. And the score to beat is still, at this moment, 14. Here we go. Elgin, Dunfermline and Montrose are towns in one of the home nations of the UK. Which one?
Scotland.
Yeah. Sue Barker succeeded David Coleman as the presenter of a long-running television quiz show in 1997. What show?
Question of sport.
Yep. A rhyming term once commonly used to refer to the births, marriages and deaths column in a newspaper is hatches, matches and...
Dispatches.
Yep. The British actor David Oyelowo was nominated for numerous awards for his role in the 2014 biopic film Selma. Which civil rights leader did he portray in that film?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes. Hartfield is a country house near the village of Highbury in a novel by Jane Austen published in 1816. Which novel?
Pride and Prejudice.
Emma. In the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, the footballer known as Marta became the all-time leading World Cup goal scorer when she scored her 17th goal over 5 tournaments. She scored the goals for which South American country?
Brazil.
Yes. What word, ultimately derived from a term for a pirate or buccaneer, is used in politics, especially in America, for the tactic by which lengthy speeches are made in order to obstruct the passing of legislation?
Pass.
Which German sociologist was best known for his thesis on the Protestant work ethic published in the early 20th century?
Freud.
Weber. A 1960s UK hit single by Gene Pitney was entitled 24 Hours from which American city?
Dallas.
Tulsa. A measure often abbreviated to GI is used to quantify the effect a foodstuff has on the blood sugar level of someone who eats it. What do the letters GI stand for?
Glucose intake.
Glycemic index. In 2004, the National Gallery in London paid £22 million to retain an early 16th century painting known in English as the Madonna of the Pinks. It was painted by which Renaissance artist?
Michelangelo.
Raphael. Which novel by Graham Greene is set in Cuba during the Batista regime and features a vacuum cleaner salesman named Jim Wormold who is recruited by British intelligence?
Pass.
What's the name of open grassland in southern Africa that's similar to the American prairies? It's an Afrikaans word taken from the Dutch for field.
Sahara.
Veld. A sea symphony, a London symphony and a pastoral symphony are all early 20th century works by a British composer. What was his name?
Britain.
Ralph Vaughan Williams. In most email services, the standard icon for an attachment sent with a message is a depiction of an item of office stationery, usually made from plastic or bent wire. What item?
Paperclip.
Yep. A large archaeological collection of gold and silver Anglo-Saxon artefacts was unearthed on farmland near Lichfield in 2009. The find has become known by what name?
Who?
The Staffordshire Hoard. You had 2 passes. Our Man in Havana was that novel by Graham Greene. And if you delay a piece of legislation by making a long-winded speech, it is called a filibuster. You have 14 points.
Thank you.
And finally, Maxime, again, please. And you start out with 9 points. Score to beat is still 14. 2.5 minutes to get through to the semi-finals, or not. Here we go. A palpitation is an irregularity in the function of which major organ?
The heart.
Yep. The lines double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn and cauldron bubble are spoken by a group of witches in a play by Shakespeare. Which play?
Macbeth.
Yep. Electrum, which is used to make jewellery and ornaments, is a light yellow alloy of silver and which other metal?
Gold.
Yep. Which singer topped the UK chart for 6 weeks in 1986 with her album True Blue? The title track was later released as a single and also reached #1.
Kate Bush.
Madonna. Which character in the Winnie the Pooh stories by A.A. Milne is named after Milne's own son, for whom he wrote the poetry collections When We Were Very Young and Now We Are Six?
Christopher Robin.
Yep. Which American television drama series, first broadcast in 2017, stars Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern and Nicole Kidman as 3 mothers who live in Monterey, California? It's based on a novel by Leanne Moriarty.
Big Little Lies.
Yes. What French term, which translates literally as outside the work, is used in English to refer to small items of food served as an appetizer before a meal?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. What's the name of the American football quarterback who won a record 6 Super Bowl title when his club, the New England Patriots, beat the Los Angeles Rams in 2019?
Tom Brady.
Yes. Which actor gained more than 3 stone in weight for his Oscar-winning portrayal of Idi Amin in the 2006 film The Last King of Scotland?
Forrest Whitaker.
Yes. What name derived from a Latin word for a shallow dish is given to the green coating that forms on bronze statues when the metal reacts with the atmosphere over time?
Patina.
Yep. King Alfonso XIII reigned from 1902 until his exile after the election of a Republican government in 1931. In which European country?
Portugal.
Spain. The characters Leporello, Don Ottavio and Donna Anya appear in which 1787 opera by Mozart?
Magic flute.
Don Giovanni. What neurological condition is characterized by involuntary movements of the body and face and vocal outbursts that sometimes involve swearing? It's named after the French neurologist who first described it.
Tourette's syndrome.
Yes, what mythical reptile has a name that comes from the Greek for little king? It was said to be able to kill its victims with merely its breath or a stare, and is sometimes known as a cockatrice.
Basilisk.
Yes, which city was the capital of Yugoslavia, later became the capital of the Republic of Serbia?
Belgrade.
Yes. The British scientist Frederick Sanger won a Nobel Prize in 1958 for his work on the structure of proteins and was awarded a share of the same prize in 1980. In which discipline did he win those prizes?
Chemistry.
Is correct. No passes, Maxime. You've scored 22 points.
Thank you.
Well, no doubt about that one. Let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place, with 10 points, Vijay. Joint second place, 14 points apiece, Louise and Richard. In first place with 22 points, Maxim, which means that he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Score of 22. Didn't drop too many on the specialist subject, which is great. A lot of hard work that obviously paid off. I'm very happy with the final score and to be through to the semi-finals. My specialist subject was the Mongol invasions, which took place in the 13th century under Genghis Khan, who everybody knows of, one of those figures from history that everyone can picture. But not many people know the incredibly wide-ranging effects that had on world history. So it was a really fascinating subject, and I'd encourage anyone to read about it.
In 1274 and 1281, two seaborne invasions led by Kublai Khan were defeated, partly because of bad weather. They were intended to capture which country?
Japan.
Yeah.
I think my family will be very excited. I think they'll be overjoyed. I think my other half was actually more nervous than I was. So it's going to be a big relief for her when I can tell her how it's gone. And she's going to be very excited for the next round, I imagine. I can't wait to get going for the next one and start studying on a new topic and something which I find interesting, and the next round and seeing all the others who've got through from the heats. One of the reasons Mastermind appealed to me so much, a lot of people say, well, what's the cash prize? There's no cash prize, it's just about the honour and it's about the bragging rights.